Amy's husband has been cheating on her 16 out of the 20 years they've been married. And even though he sleeps with other women, Amy says that he's still a good husband.
You know, he does he plays his part. He's not just a guy who goes and sleeps around with other women and comes home and does nothing. There is other parts of our life. So there are good parts to consider. It's like a job. You don't, every time there's something wrong with your job, you leave. You know, you have to compromise. So life is compromise, you know. You know, it's hard to be a single woman at 40. This is a lot, let me be honest, a fear of a lot of women in your late 30s, 40s, if your husband is doing this, and you maybe do want to close an eye, because if he left, I mean, you'd be practically alone. It's not easy being a single mother.
For her part, Amy also plays the good wife. But it almost doesn't matter, as she said it's just too easy for men to look for sex outside.
Isn't this available 24 hours a day in our country? So he can go to work. It can be at lunchtime. It can be at 6 o'clock when he's knocked off work. It can be any time, really. Let's not pretend sex is quite readily available when a man needs it. It's inexpensive and accessible. So, you know, it doesn't really have to be at night when he goes out with his friends or anything like that. So, you know, I mean, I did once ask him, and he said, I'm here all the time. Where do I have time for this? And it's only much later in life that I found out. And I thought, oh, how silly of me, you know. Yeah. I didn't know that it doesn't have to be in the evening. Because, you know, I always make sure that he comes home. I always have a nice meal waiting for him so that he has food to come home to. And, you know, not have to go and find dinner outside.
So what would be a deal breaker for you?
If he had told me that he loved somebody, and he wanted to be with them, or that he was in love, then that would be an instant deal breaker for me. It would be, please be happy. I think in the end I could share maybe physical side, bearing in mind that he's a man, there's a lot of temptation here, but I don't think I could bear to share the emotional side of him.
2 years ago, Amy found out that her husband was having a year-long affair with a domestic helper working near their home. He even left the house for his lover.
I said, you know, it's reached a point, it doesn't really bother me anymore. And when it doesn't bother me, to me that means I've ceased loving you. Interesting enough, when I stopped feeling that way, that I was bothered or I was hurt, that's when he realized that he has lost someone who was so devoted, that kind of devotion and love. I think he decided that, you know, he wanted it back. I like to say that he's been trying, and he's been trying to bridge the gap and put in what I put in all those years. I don't know if we get that back. Don't know if we'll come back to the place where I can feel that way. But certainly, there'll never be trust ever again. And he knows that.
Amy may still have her husband by her side, but keeping that marriage had cost her many friendships. She feels that she knows what Jack Neo's wife, Irene Keng, is going through.
You know, people can pontificate, they can give advice, they can be armchair critics, they can say whatever they like. But they are not her. They have no idea how she feels. With her, the way she handled the girl when she came to the house, I think it was excellent. She would not give her the satisfaction of thinking that she had broken up her home. Secondly, what is wrong with forgiving someone that you love? You know, it's like your child. Your child never do anything, certainly my child would never do anything that I couldn't forgive, because she's a part of me. And I'm sure after 27 years, he's a very big part of her. You know, and somewhere she must have thought about it and said, if push comes to shove and this comes out, you know, I'll stand by him. She probably had time to think about the decision. People say, what's the message she's sending to her children? The message is that, don't worry, Mama and Papa are strong. We'll get through this. We're a, you know, God-fearing family. We'll, you know, people make mistakes, but I love your father. What is so wrong with that? I don't get it. I think she's incredibly brave and incredibly strong.
From celebrities to people on the street, cheating partners seems quite common. So how does one spot a cheating spouse? That's in our next clip.